Hello fellow coffee botherers, in this video I'm going to be comparing the Barista Express Impress with the Barista Express. So let's make coffee. They're both almost the same. As you can see, we've got the magnetic tamper in the original Express. We've got the tamp lever on the Express Impress. We've got the cover, the grind cover, tamp cover, sorry, on the Express Impress. And we've got an open grind chute area on the original Express. And we've got the dose level indication on the Impress. We haven't got that on the Express because the Express doesn't have assisted dosing in the assisted tamping. We've got manual dose selection on the Impress. It's only manual. On the Express we haven't got that. And we've got a grind amount on both, but you'd only use the grind amount on the Impress if you were using it in manual. Both got the pressure gauge. The original Express has got a program button and the power button is there, and on the new Impress they've used what was a power button for the dose button, so there's no program button. You've got the single shot, double shot, and then that is the on off button. So the only difference there is that when you want to do things, it's a series of button presses with these three buttons instead of these three buttons. It's just that one of them says program on it, so that really doesn't change anything. So some people look at this, and I've had comments saying that the Sage Barista Express Impress or the Breville Barista Express Impress is just the original Express with a tamp lever, and that isn't quite the case. And I've had people saying as well that on that basis it's just the same as the DeLonghi Specialista, which has got a tamp lever. That isn't the case. The tamp lever is part of it, but the main thing is this assisted dosing, or the combination of the assisted dosing and the tamp lever. So the tamp lever means that you're getting the same 10 kilogram tamp every single time, so that takes the inconsistency of tamping out of the equation. So that's one good thing, but then that in combination with this dosing system is what makes this special. That's the proposition from Sage or Breville. It's not just a tamp lever, it's the system together with the tamp lever and the auto dosing. And as I showed in the last videos, it really does work actually like Sage or Breville are saying it does. It will help shorten the learning curve for people who want to learn, and it will take that necessity away from people who don't want it. In terms of the grinding part of it, they've both got the ability to change the inner burr. They've both got 10 settings internally by taking the top burr out, taking that wire metal piece off, changing the red dot that's on the number 6, there's 10 settings and it's on the number 6 out of the box. You can take that finer to make it, to take the whole grinding range finer, as I did on the last video and as I would normally do with these machines, because I normally find they're a little bit on the coarse side on 6. So you can do that on both. And then the Barista Express has got 18 grind settings, while the new Impress has got 26. In practice, this does give you a little bit more ability on the Impress to get a bit closer to being dialed in. With both of these machines, you're going to get ballpark dialed in. And if you don't know what dialed in means, it just means calibrated. It just means getting things right, mainly, not only, but mainly on the grind size to get the perfect or as close to the perfect extraction. But with a machine like this, an integrated grinding machine, you're not going to get super ultra precision. You need standalone machines for that, in my humble opinion. These kind of machines are great for ballpark dialing, getting somewhere close. And I think this, because I've used both of them quite a bit, and this just gets you a little bit closer. You've got more, it's a similar range, or it's the same range, I believe, but you've just got smaller steps, smaller adjustments with the Impress, which I prefer. But the main difference between these two machines is the way that you need to use them. What this is, what the Impress version of the Barista Express is an assisted machine. So it isn't just a traditional espresso machine with an integrated grinder, it's an assisted machine. It assists the user with some parts of the process, the most tricky parts, tamping and dosing. And then the Barista Express doesn't have that assistance. It is a standard traditional espresso machine with an integrated or built-in grinder. And a lot of people, I think, over the years have bought the Barista Express expecting it to have that assistance because it's got a built-in grinder and it's sold in bean to cup categories on some retailers. So I think a lot of people have ended up with this who weren't necessarily knowingly getting into the home barista hobby and starting to hone their home espresso making skills. They thought they were just getting a machine out of the box to press a button, and that was never the case with these machines. And the Express Impress is, I think, what most people throughout the years have expected it to be. It's got the assistance that I think a lot of people were probably expecting. And what that means is you'll see, hopefully, if I do a good job of demonstrating the difference is that to get the same shot from both, there's more steps, there's more process, and there's more skill required with this than this. So this does the skilled bits for you and the messy bits for you, and this doesn't. This is also a little bit more messy anyway, the Express, because of the gap in the grinding cradle, but that doesn't matter because you can get very inexpensively, you can get a dosing ring that fits on top, that fits a portafilter and covers this. So that's not an issue, but with the Impress it's far less messy because you've got this cover and it's all contained. So I'll demonstrate now, and I've already roughly dialed both these machines in. This isn't a dialing in video. See the last video that I did on dialing in multiple bags of coffee beans with the Express Impress, but I just want to show what the process is on each machine so you can see how different they are to use. So I've just taken them roughly to being dialed in, which, by the way, was ridiculously simple and took no time virtually on the Impress, and took a little bit longer, a little bit more effort with the Express. In the last video I showed, and it's the same on both machines almost, I showed how to reset the shot volume and also how to pull shots manually. And I say almost the same because you press and hold the program button and then press the shot button to start and press it again to reprogram the shot time. Whereas on the Impress you just hold the two buttons together for a few seconds and then press which button you want to reprogram. But what I've not shown is what I think is the easiest way to pull shots, which is the semi-manual or the semi-automatic way, and that is to reset the shot button. I always use a double shot button. Reset the double shot button to the maximum, and then what you do is you just press the double shot button to start the shot, and it will do the pre-infusion, the 7-8 second pre-infusion automatically, and then all you have to do is press it to stop the shot. So with the Express we need to do the dosing ourselves. So we've got the grind amount here, and I've already ascertained, just to make the video a little bit quicker, that with this bean I'm just before the last line on the grind amount to fill the basket. So I'll weigh the portafilter and then push the portafilter in. I was tapping the portafilter then to help level that mountain of coffee off to make things a little bit less messy, but as you saw, it's still a little bit messy. But that wouldn't happen if you had a dosing ring on, which you can get from Etsy and so on. So all I would do now is just flatten that off with my hand and then tamp. And then trim with the razor tool. Now I would always do this. This is one area that people go wrong. The razor tool has been created to make sure you get the correct headspace, to make sure you've got the dose right. So getting the dose right basically means that you've got the right headspace, the right gap between the coffee and the shower screen. I know people talk about dose in grams, but that depends on the grind size and the coffee. Usually I find when you're dialed in with these machines, so when you've got the grind size right and you've got the headspace correct, you've normally got between 18 and 19 grams in the basket. But it isn't about the weight, it's about the headspace between the coffee and the shower screen. This tool is what makes sure that's always the case, that's always right. In the Impress, as you'll see in a minute, the only reason you'd need to use this is if you were overdosed and it tells you that you've got too much in and you need to trim some off. But other than that, it does the dose for you, so you don't need to use the razor tool. It can detect the headspace and whether you've got the right clearance. So we need to trim some off. And I've got the knock box behind me off camera, but you just go like that and then tip it in to the knock box. Now we've got 18 grams, 18.1. It's a very sensitive set of scales this is the Cayer Luna. But we've got 18, about 18, 18.1 grams. I will purge some water through the group to keep everything the same temperature when pulling the shot, and I'll do the same with the Impress. If you're annoyed by this mess, I'm leaving that on purpose because I want you to see the difference in how much mess we end up with, because that is one of the key points of the Impress, is you don't have that. It's a less messy process. Now I'm weighing the shot and I'm going for a 1 to 2 extraction, so I want about 36 grams from 18 grams, or 36 mil from 18 grams, which is about the same. And when I start the timer, one thing to note, and I've probably not said this before, with these machines I find that there's maybe a second gap between pressing the button and the pump being engaged for the pre-infusion. If you listen to your machine, you'll hear when it starts. So you'll press the button, nothing will happen for maybe half a second to a second, and then you'll hear the pump engage at a lower pressure, and then you'll see it ramp up. If you press the timer straight away, as soon as you're pressing the shot button, I think you're over-egging the time by about a second. So just watch your machines, just listen to it and see when the pump actually engages, and start your timer then. So I'm just pressing it to start and pressing it to stop. There we go. We've got a 1 to 2 shot roughly, and it tastes good. So you saw the process there, and I'd already done quite a bit of the work off camera, so we're already at the right dose amount and we're already at the right grind size. But I'm going to do the same on the Impress because we're already about the right grind size on that as well. So the only thing you'd have to do differently here is you'd have to dial in, you'd have to adjust the grind, and you'd need to adjust this until you're getting the right amount of coffee into your basket. So I would try and get about 19 grams, maybe just over 19 and a half grams into your basket, and then tamp, and then use the razor tool. You've then set the dose and you're ready to go. But as you saw, a little bit messy. Doesn't have to be that messy if you get a grind collar, but a little bit messy. There's a little bit to it, but we ended up with a decent shot. So now let's do the same thing on the Impress. So on the Impress, you don't need to weigh the coffee. You don't need to do the dose inside. That's done for you. And the tamp is done for you, as I shall demonstrate. Dosed. Now it wants me to tamp. And it's telling us the dose is correct. And that's it. We're dosed and we're tamped. And I don't need to weigh the coffee because I know that'll be 18 grams. In a minute when I pull the shot, I'll weigh it and show you so you can see I'm not making this up, but it's being consistent within about 0.2 of a gram. So it'll be within 18 or 17.8. It's very, very consistent. Now that isn't to say that whatever grind size you put it on, you're always going to get 18 grams because the grind size will determine the weight. So once you're dialed in, once you're getting roughly dialed in, you will have roughly 18 grams, I find. And then whatever that amount that you've got, whatever that dose is in weight, will be the same each time. You don't really need to weigh it as such. The dose doesn't really matter in terms of grams. What really matters with the dose is the headspace. But the reason you might want to weigh it is if you want to get an exact ratio. So if you want an exact 1 to 2 ratio, for example, if that matters to you, you might want to weigh it to make sure that if you're getting 18 grams, you know you're aiming for a 36 mil or 36 gram shot of espresso. I nearly forgot to purge. And we've got 36 grams. A very similar shot, and it tastes good. Tastes very similar. Well, the same, I would say. But as you saw, there's no mess, and it was a much easier process. I didn't need to tamp. I didn't need to play around with the dose. It was just an easier process. So that's the difference. If you want to do the home barista thing, you want more control over the process, then great, go for the Barista Express. Or if you want more precision, you might want to go for a standalone machine, standalone espresso machine and grinder. These machines aren't for perfect precision, and the Barista Express only has the 18 grind settings versus 26 on the Impress. If you want that control, you don't want the assistance. But if you don't want that control and you just want an easy life in the morning, a decent espresso with very, very little knowledge or skill, then the Impress is great. It is easier, and as you can see, very little mess versus what we've got here. So we've got coffee all over the drip tray, we've got coffee all over here, and some of that would be reduced if we had simply got a grind collar to fit onto the portafilter, but you don't need to do that with the Impress. It's nice and clean and tidy out of the box. So just to show you, put my money where my mouth is about the consistency of that dose, I will show you. Exactly 18 grams. I'll do it again. And we've got 18. The Luna can't decide if we've got 18 or 18.1. It's jumping in between 18 and 18.1. That's what I'm talking about. That's so consistent. And I'd be more than happy if it was within a gram. If it was a gram consistent. That I would think would be pretty good for a machine like this. Within half a gram, amazing. But most of the time, I'm seeing within 0.1, 0.2 of a gram. We might as well not waste that. Let's pull another shot. Let that run over slightly, 37 grams, but what's a gram between friends? And again, nice shot. Really, really straightforward. There's a link in the description to the one place you can currently get the Impress in the UK, and as I said in the last video, I sometimes have discount codes that I'm permitted to share with members of my Brewtime mailing list, coffeeblog.co.uk/brewtime. So just drop me an email, kev@coffeeblog.co.uk, and if you've got one, I'll share it with you. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to click the like button. Thanks. It's impossible for crocodiles to stick their tongues out, and that's got nothing to do with clicking the like button, but click it anyway. And if you've enjoyed this video, why not click here to watch another one? And don't forget to become an official Coffee Brotherer. You need to click this image around here somewhere of my face to subscribe. Tatty Bye.